Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Disco Elysium, where last episode we explored more of the abandoned fort, and now we have found this old guy who seems to be the communist version of those Japanese holdouts from World War II that just kept fucking things up after the war. Maybe this was the guy who shot the hanged man. We'll see.
We have come to ask you questions, nothing more. If you do not comply, we will take you in. Do you understand?
I need you to put down that gun so we can talk further. We're with the police. You can keep the gun, but keep it down.
No.
Kim, don't do stupid shit.
Put it down now, sir.
Or you're gonna blow my brains out before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
Like an amputated limb in the sand.
Told you not to do stupid shit, Kim.
He stares on, his wrinkled mouth moving without a sound. A strange sadness, like a song.
Sure, let's ask. What'd you say?
The future teaches you to be alone.
The present.
The present to be afraid and cold.
Those words.
Real music. It's La Revacholière, you shit-licking bougie dog. Chanson de soldat of the black and whites.
Marching song. Forget about that for a moment. You need to address that remark first.
I know La Revacholière. It's the Martian song of the World Revolution.
There you go. One of three. In Grad, they sang Brave Children, favorites of history. And in Sinyao, it was some Samaran shit, I guess.
How does it go, the song?
How did it go? Something about shooting rabbits. I don't know. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's gone now.
He waves erratically with his hand, annoyed that he can't remember. A little tremor passes through him. It was dear to him. He resents forgetting it.
Sure, let's pick up the
His
gun.
gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stocked and patched in places with tape and wire.
Yeah, not likely that shot could make that rifle could make a shot of that distance.
The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. On the butt, you see Vespertine writing, burnt into the wood. Triangon, 4.46mm, made in Sinyao.
Rangon, made in Sinyao.
No one said it has to be a Belmagrave. We were just guessing.
From ballistics, it could easily have been a Triangon, too.
It doesn't matter if it was made in Shanti Shanti. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition. And it does.
4.46.
The right type and the right calibre.
He's liking this. The old man keeps following your motion with his gaze. His right arm twitches suddenly. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It could be used against him to get a confession in time.
Who are you?
My name is Josef Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol.
Had 4 armies? How many were you?
I am a deserter, a partisan. and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender.
The commune of Revachol? Do you mean the ICM? Your holdover from the...
From the Insular Indian Citizens Militia, the army of the revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in '07, trained in the École de Contrôle Orient, and consigned to emergency defense duties in '08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
You've been here 43 years?
No. I've been on other islands, too. I was in Resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18. Then I was on E48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago.
Again, you've been hiding here for 43 years.
43 years and 10 months.
I don't even know what that is.
It's inhuman. It's sick. It's not how a human being should live, but I had to. I couldn't just forget. I couldn't just forget what I saw.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Hiding, fishing, waiting.
Where the afternoon grows late, on Rue de Saint-Ghislain, people walk home. Street lights will soon be lit. Further inland, the streets are alive with workers, men, women, children, street hawks and migrant laborers. The temperature is steady. Alto cumulus clouds form above Precinct 41.
Always waiting.
What?
For her to return.
Her who?
Girl, child, revolution.
She better come. I too have given my life to Mazovian social economics.
A waste. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind and themselves. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do.
So they deserted your unit.
I was just 16 years old, 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. And of courage, too.
What was that lapse of faith?
You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism.
I must never doubt the immortal science, comrade.
A second is all it took
Or?
for reaction to take hold.
That wasn't a reaction, you were just afraid.
It's the same thing. You haven't seen it. Not really. Not naked. It's impossible not to be afraid.
It remains unclear what it is. He makes leaps he doesn't expect you to follow.
And this was... when?
May the 13th, '08. 44 years ago. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds. Storm clouds. When they started shelling, it was dark magic.
Dark magic.
The combined might of international capital. All at once. All the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. It lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the flak tower, huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in Ozon, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going to the map room.
A terrible shame, still within him. The lobes of his ears are red with it. The shame and smallness of what he became.
Then
I ran. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers underground, like the weakest of the weak. A mouse, frightened of the ordnance all night and the sound of the rotors in the morning, whirring.
what was that?
Airships. I climbed out into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. The fortress was half submerged too, shattered. They'd all drowned in the lower levels or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality.
I gotta say, maybe making the 16-year-old your political officer not the smartest of things. Political officers are there to prevent this shit from happening. If you want to have a charitable reading, they're there to ensure morale. If you want a more realistic reading, they're there to maintain the rule of, well, maintain the rules. Make sure there are no dissent or desertion among the ranks. Seen what?
The mask of humanity fall from capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone, everything you love. All the hope and tenderness in the world. It has to take it off just for 1 second to do the deed.
Yeah, making a teenager your political officer, it's not a good idea.
And then you see it, as it strangles and beats your friends to death. The sweetest, most courageous people in the world. You see the fear and power in its eyes. Then you know.
Even if, like, you can pick political officers based on their ideological fervor, but you still gotta pick someone who will impose respect and most likely fear among the ranks. Otherwise, it's fucking useless.
That the bourgeois are not human.
I've always suspected the same.
Now is not the time, Lieutenant Yefreto.
I had to fight it. I could not stop anymore.
What is this place?
It's not an island, Dwat. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol. And I am its last surviving defender.
What was it used for?
The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it in '02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing. Against the whole world.
You mean the landing, the taking of Revachol?
Coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. I later found out on the radio they called it Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Caillou alone.
First, I'm not one of them.
Sure you are. You're RCM. Answer me. Who calls an operation against 50 million people death blow?
Murderers.
You don't know. You haven't seen it. Iblis.
Iblis?
The black-eyed angel.
Shaitan Ahura, the Darkened One.
How have you survived all this time?
How does anyone survive? I steal.
What do you steal?
Supplies, vegetables. I collect rainwater. It's the life of a dog, not a human being.
How is your health, Mr. Dross?
I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot. Been passing it in stool, too.
You might have cancer, mate.
He does seem frail. Gaunt for his age. More like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on weight could mean cancer.
The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over.
I need to die. You don't have medical facilities. You have guns. That's all they give you. Toy guns.
Got painkillers. Yeah.
I have been running out of that stuff.
It's a serious situation you need to be looked over, and we can do it.
There's nothing to look over. The triage is in, and it's black. Administer morphine. Moribund.
Have you coped mentally? Well, spoiler alert, he hasn't.
I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of... I don't even know what. Inferno?
I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult, mentally, to live in isolation.
Traitors. It's better alone. I watch the people of this city turn the lights back on, more and more each year. Ruins, glimmering in the dark, like a fucking merry-go-round. It's disgusting.
Are they not heartbroken? How could they have moved on?
How have you concealed yourself all these years?
It was hard in the tens. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. Floodlights on the water at night.
There were posters, campaigns.
We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Cold City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Forburg, even Coron, and Boogie Street, of course. Those fucking kips had Marsov coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol was still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. Soon they all went silent. The frequency's dead.
Get between here and the mainland.
At night, I used a dinghy. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot, the commons too. They'd started snitching.
In the city, you move underground?
From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted. I just...
Weapons cache under single lane 22B. Been there?
So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Elmer Graves, right?
That much beyond use.
I know.
So you've been there?
Sleeping. Some nights. ammo scrounging on others. Those McGraves were shit, even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however.
You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map he's walked across.
Small bunker in the Fell building. Stayed there.
The propaganda bunker. I used to, but not anymore.
Propaganda bunker?
They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys.
Killed themselves?
A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins, on the ground.
Why didn't you just walk there?
I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs, rabbits, and dogs. Men without ideals are only animals.
He does not want to see life moving on. People forgetting, drinking, laughing.
Do you smoke tea materies?
I do.
Ever smoke them on the mainland?
They're good. Plenty of tar. I like that boy on the pack, too. Reminds me of the last century.
The old man looks across the water, at the city, the ruins, the motorways rising above it.
You said this was your term of surrender.
You're with the RCM, the coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol.
I know what it looks like, but I have secret plans to turn the RCM into a Mazovian revolutionary unit.
Rock and roll posturing. You're the RCM. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, le Parti Communiste Insolente. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldoze them all to a mass grave for trying to free humanity.
A spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit. Rene, the royalist on the coast, said,
You never signed the instrument of surrender.
Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument. Traitors who should have been burned alive. I answer to the Communist Party.
Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender?
He just wipes the blood from his chin.
Understood.
I don't think you did. You live in a delusion. Radio shows, speed racing, and sporting goods. It's not real.
The communist soldier from the Communist Army.
No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army.
Said you were trained and assigned to the defense corps.
Trained in historical materialism, then assigned as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something.
What does a political commissar do, even though I just explained it?
The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his legs.
His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control and follows the ideology of the commune.
Yeah, pretty much.
Scientific communism. A commissaire politique is a night philosopher of the revolution, a future human.
Awakened from shutdown by the promise of ideology.
That means you're a trained communist, right?
He nods slowly. Then another tremor.
I am also a communist.
No, you're not. You're a liberast.
You should engage him about inframaterialism. Impress him with all the ideas you picked up from the reading group.
Yes, I should.
No, don't. This man does not subscribe to intellectual daydreams. The communism he mourns is a planetary force.
I really am a communist. I have communist thoughts in my head.
All the real communists are dead. They died fighting for communism. Are you dead? No.
Well, most days I think I
You're
might
an
be.
inert lump with a gun.
Detective, we have not come here to discuss ideology.
No, kid. You have not come here to discuss ideology. I, on the other hand...
We have come to ask questions regarding a murder investigation.
The old man spits into the fire pit. He does not say anything more. A jitter passes his lower body. The expression on his face is unreadable. There's some sort of interference there. Neurological?
There's nothing serious in this world. It's a farce.
What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. For a man who's spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild,
He's surprisingly okay.
indeed, he speaks fluidly. His movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, he seems animated.
Animated by what?
It's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads, as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. Great leaps of emotion, from anger to grief, despair,
Wouldn't this be a byproduct of his life?
perhaps, but his seems more than that. The inner turmoil takes unexpected turns, as if forced on him in a way. In summary, you sense some underlying neurological disorder.
Dementia?
You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile.
Mr. Dross, are you okay? How's your memory?
No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm surrounded by insane people.
There it is again, erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing too, of course.
What have you been using this gun for?
I've used it for killing people.
Killing people?
It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property. I haven't done that. I've used it to kill people.
Interesting. During or after the war?
There is no after the war. Class war is never over.
So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay, okay. This is it. You can feel it, like battery acid on the tip of your tongue. Something you haven't felt in a while. But
What?
this is what you live for. This is the shit. The solution. Go in straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No. Be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal.
Did you use that gun to shoot and kill a colonel of the security contractor, Cornell?
The who now?
He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice. We're in. Do it, sire.
The fascist death squad who took a bullet in the mouth on the night of March 4th.
Oh yes, that one. Ugly piece of work, that boy.
Did you kill him?
I am a son of a welder and an officer of the commune of Revachol. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime.
Exhaust him with proof. Pile it all on him. Get a confession. The gun. The murder weapon is the perfect opener. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? There was something you can't remember. Something about the tracks. Suddenly, all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first.
Within the ballistics, the shot came from this island. I don't need your cooperation, I got this.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun. Not like your little musketeer pistol. I've seen you prance around with that, jumping hoops for the liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons? Going against automatic rifles with these toy guns. Of course you got those boys killed.
Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. Okay. So what? Don't let it divert you.
Stop changing the subject. We have the murder weapon.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it?
I'm calling it. We have the murder weapon.
Good. This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
Murder.
This pushed him, but not enough. Just a little more.
We've done ballistics. The shot came from this island.
I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascies. Did you like the view?
You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession. You've been here a long time, Mr. Druss. Too long. You clearly need medical aid.
I'm ready to die. I've done my part.
He's practically admitting to it. Dead fascists for fascists. Done his part.
The view was perfect. I could see in the room.
Because it's a sniper's nest, you stupid fuck. Radio Gosh is right. You have worms in your brain.
Almost. He almost burst out there. Keep piling arguments. Anything.
I talked to the dead man. He told me communism killed him.
Stupid twat.
The lieutenant looks at you with worry in his eyes. Not this, he seems to say. Anything but this.
I hold a seance with the soul. It has shown me the way, and the way leads to you.
Matter does not behave in such a way. Those are aberrant bourgeois musings. Magic Earl creatures. Esoteric theosophy. It's all crypto-fascism. Your brain is rotting from the radio waves.
He does not answer the provocation. It does not look like he thinks this approach worked. Yeah, this just did nothing. But still, somehow you knew it was a communist.
How?
Perhaps you suspected it before you took the case. The vision was you remembering that.
But this did nothing.
Was it supposed to?
Yeah, this is just crypto-fascism.
No, there is more here. A sliver of something. Some kind of future. Was it? So the inland sea is dark, vast, and on the surface, meaningless.
Standing there, slack-jawed, brain festering.
Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. The dried Maybells on Clausia's roof. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here, and Maybells on Clausia's balcony. And nowhere else. Nowhere in all of Martinez have you seen them. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Clausia's bedroom. Now they're gonna come up.
Thank you, Head.
You got it. Remember, the boot prints were like no modern soul.
Wonder what brand of boots you're wearing.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa? Some shit.
Show me the souls, please, Mr. Doras.
Fucking imbecile.
The maker is called Sansarique, and the size is 42 to 44. These are not the unusual horizontal patterned soles you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the sole.
Maybe it's simpler than that.
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
We'll change shoes. Doesn't mean you weren't there, near the room the victim died, sneaking around.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance. You've almost got him. Just the last little push.
I saw Maybells behind the victim's window and growing here.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them.
He seems tender suddenly. Nostalgic even. A strange mood swing.
So many this year, too? The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away.
It's the only place in Martinez I've seen these flowers.
They blossom on the islets before. We fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May, before they ruined it.
South, the Bay of Martinez is dotted with little freckles of islets, turning green, with white flowers in white snow.
The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may.
Young woman called Claudia. Rings any bells? Flowers like these were behind her window.
Claudia.
He knows her, but hadn't heard the name.
You know her, right? She had intimate relationships with the victim. You hadn't heard her name, had you?
My ears don't reach the city.
Had intimate relations with the victim.
With the victim.
There is a small tremble, looks like a smile, a crooked smile, yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer. Armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer. Dripping with blood.
Yeah, he was a killer, but still in the protection of the law.
Beating us to the ground. Moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner.
Maybe you should have.
Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
I mean, when 500 people die in a boat, when 500 people die in a migrant boat sinking, and all the cameras are pointing to a couple of billionaires in a submarine, did they really drown?
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
So you shot him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling. While the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her. Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
Yes.
And you were looking at Dan, the victim and a young woman, having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from. You can coax it out of him. The lieutenant's preparing the ground.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
Why were you looking at them that night?
I'm always looking.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
And if you don't like it?
Click.
You pull the trigger.
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift.
Well, I was looking at the time and seeing if I could end this conversation, but this episode has been going on for a bit now, so we will have to continue this next episode. Thank you all so very much for watching. As always, I have been Pope. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all next time.